Hello everyone, Miss Hanley here. We're going to continue our discussion on the rules of exponents, except for now we're going to deal with dividing exponents. And dividing gets a little tricky, especially because a lot of us hate fractions, but we have to think about it not as fractions, but as just simplification. So recall when we did product of powers up above, whenever you're multiplying, you are adding your exponents. Well, the opposite of that is dividing, and so if I divide my bases, if I divide my powers, then I must be, instead of adding, subtracting the exponents. And you can only subtract exponents on powers that have the same base. So in your example up above, we have a to the m divided by a to the n. And so you can combine those and say, well, that's a to the m minus n. So top subtracted from bottom. All right, top minus the bottom. Okay, so when I look at the first example over here, we have y to the 6th divided by just y. And if you recall, we said whenever we just have y, it's really y to the 1st. So this becomes y to the 6 minus 1, which is y to the 5th power, okay? And the reason that it's like this is because if you have y to the 6th, that's 6 y's, and you're dividing it by just 1 y, well, whenever we have y over y, that's the same as like 5 over 5 or 10 over 10. Those just make one whole, so you can cancel them out, all right? Leaving us with just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 y's, or y to the 5th. So that's the reason that we're subtracting our exponents here. And I'll get that out of the second example space. All right, so next up we have 6 to the 13th divided by 6 to the 2nd. So that makes 6 to the 13 minus 2, or 6 to the 11th power. And since those are both numbers, you can actually simplify that out if you want to. But for all we're doing right now, I'm just going to leave it as 6 to the 11th. And for the last example, now you have two actual numbers out front. So your first step would be to reduce that fraction if possible. Well, 10/15 reduces to 2/3. You can take a 5 out of the top and a 5 out of the bottom, or 5 out of 10 is 2, and 15 divided by 5 gives me 3. Then we want to deal with our exponents. So you have a to the 7th divided by a to the 5th. And remember, we're subtracting, so we get a squared. And then b to the 9th divided by b to the 9th. Well, 9 minus 9 is 0. And so we get b to the 0th power, and we'll look at that in a minute, but b to the 0th power is just one whole, or if you notice, those are just going to cancel out. Because b to the 9th over b to the 9th, it's the same as having 5 over 5. Okay, if they're whole numbers over each other, then it's equal to 1. So those can just cancel, and now I'm left with just 2/3 times a squared. All right.